Testing, 1, 2. All right, first off, I want to thank everyone for being here. Today is a good day for the Suns franchise. I'm proud to introduce Ricky Rubio as the newest member of the Phoenix Suns. This summer, we set out to improve our team. We had two positions of need, primarily the point guard position, and I'm just really excited. I know myself, Coach Monty, the entire organization, we're just really thrilled to have Ricky with us, knowing that his experience, his winning pedigree, his ability to control a team, to run a team, to lead a team is something that we missed, something that we haven't had recently in Phoenix. And with his addition, I expect our young guys to be able to take a huge leap forward this year. And so with that, I want to introduce Ricky Rubio, the newest member of the Phoenix Suns family.
For me, Ricky is going to be an extension of me on the floor, and I'm really excited about that. Not just me, but our staff, our culture. He's about all of the things that we want to promote, the habits, the attitude, experience, and I've just had a good time talking to him the past few days about the way we want to play, practices and things of that nature. Really excited about him as a person. Everybody that I've talked to has just been so excited about Ricky and myself and James partnering and going forward. And like James said, he's going to make all of us look a lot better than we should. And our young guys are in for a treat just being around him. And so I am thankful, grateful, and I'm honored to be able to partner with him and build our team. I'm glad that I'm starting with Ricky, and I look forward to many years of success.
Hi, everybody. Well, really excited to be here, really talking with James before, and then the last couple of weeks, or the last week with Monty. It's been an honor to really see a franchise where they building something special. A lot of young guys, and I can bring to the table my experience where I'm already 28, so been 8 years in the league with a lot of, in Minnesota we have a lot of different teams, and then in Utah with my experience going to a playoff, I think I can bring that to the young guys, really help them reach the level they deserve. I see a lot of DeAndre or Devin Booker. I've been talking to them the last couple of days, and they're really excited too, and can't wait to jump on the court, start working with them. And it's just a really exciting project. It's a big challenge. The West is getting tougher and tougher, but the future here is looking bright, and I'm really excited to really bring my experience here as a point guard. As Monty said, I want to be the coach on the floor, and having that relationship with a coach like him, I heard a lot of good things about him, but finally meeting him and picking his brain out a little bit and knowing all the plays that he wants to run, and it's getting more exciting day by day, so just it's going to be fun.
Hey, Ricky, Gina Mizell from The Athletic. Can you just take us back to June 30th when you agreed to this deal, and just what initially struck you as far as, okay, this would be a good fit for me, and just what that free agency process was like for you?
Yeah, actually it was the first time I was a free agent, so trust my agent, and he was really telling me what was going on and what teams were interested and all the stuff. And then Phoenix came up with a project where it was really young, but at the same time, they needed a piece that I connected to the project, like they needed a point guard with experience. We talked a few with my agency, all the options, and this one was a really good fit just because I told him I'm about to hit my prime, I guess, mentally, physically. I would say I'm in the best shape in my career. Physically, I had a lot of experience the last 2 years in playoff, plus all the experience in Europe, and I was ready to take that step of being more the veteran in a team that need that type of player.
Ricky, given that you had 2 great years with the Jazz, what were your feelings like knowing that they told you that they were probably going to move in a different direction? How do you feel about how your time there went, and do you have any final words for Jazz fans?
Yeah, well, this is business, and you understand that when things doesn't work the way that we wanted in the beginning, I guess, there's things to change. And trade rumors were in February. With that being said, it comes to the end of the season. We got to the playoff, but didn't get to the past the first round. So I was just really excited with the 2 years that I spent over there. Really learned a lot. Coach Quinn is special, and what they're building over there is something that to be proud of, being part of that organization. But it's time for me to move on, and I'm really excited to be here.
Brendan Clean, SB Nation. Monty and James as well. What do you think changes for Devin playing with a playmaker that you talked about will really be able to lead your team?
I think Devin's going to be more efficient than he's been, and Devin's been a really good player. But I think when you have a point guard like Ricky, nothing in the NBA is easy, but a point guard can make things easier when you're facing defenses that try to take you out every night, which is what Devin faces. To have a point guard that can take my message to the floor, understand time, score, and situation, the kinds of defenses that you're going to play, be able to make reads on the floor, take my play, and then figure out a way to make other guys better. I don't think Devin's had that. And so where Devin is right now in his career, he's been stellar scoring the ball, and I keep using the word efficient. I think Ricky's going to make him, DeAndre, and all of our guys more efficient.
Monty answered it.
James, you mentioned on Sunday that you guys made some cap-clearing moves this offseason, and bringing in Ricky was one of the reasons why you did that, obviously. What was the decision-making process for you guys like moving on from TJ, moving on from Josh, and knowing that a player like Ricky was going to be coming back for that space?
I mean, well, it's just the maturation of a team. When we looked at our team, we knew that, you know, our 2 young building blocks were Devin and DeAndre, and so every move we made after that was really to add guys that would complement and help them become better players. The guys that we moved on from are great players. You know, they're great talents. We wish them the best, but you know, that's when you're building a team, you have to make tough decisions. So we made decisions that we thought would help us, and improving guys that would help us. So we'll continue to do the things that help us become a better team, and that was pretty much our thought process.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. James, what was your pitch to Ricky? You guys signed him pretty quickly in the offseason. As soon as it opened up, he came over. So could you tell me what the pitch was like?
I mean, I didn't pitch him. We talked basketball. I think he saw an opportunity to come here and be who he is, who he's always been, a leader. And, you know, we've had a huge gaping hole at the point guard position. The guys that we have on our team have never really been led on the floor. And so my conversations with Ricky were really direct, coach as well. It was, we need you. We think that you can thrive here, and you can make us better. And we need you here to make us better. And that was a challenge that he was willing to accept, and we're glad that he accepted it.
And, Coach, you guys didn't have a pre-existing relationship, you and Ricky, that I'm aware of. Could you tell me what you observed in him from afar that led you to believe that he'd be a good fit?
Oh, gosh. I think the thing that impacted me more than anything is what he did in Utah. They were in this position a few years ago, and he was able to make those guys better. And I know he has the ability to do the same and more here. And I always wanted to build a program, but I also wanted to leave room for a player like Ricky to help me build a program. You know, there's some room in our building left, and I want to get that kind of input from him. And so when you have a guy with his skill set and his character, it leads you to want to allow him to help you build. And so we've been talking the past couple days about play calls and things they did in Utah. Historically, he doesn't even know this, but I interviewed in Minnesota when he was drafted. And I was looking forward to working with him back then, and it didn't happen. And so I'm glad it didn't, because I'm a much better doofus than I was back then. And so hopefully I can stay out of his way and help him become a better player, because I think he has room to improve, which is really good. So I'd be here all day talking about that one.
Ricky, the word leader has already been thrown out a couple of times. Just how would you describe the way you lead a team, whether it's on the floor or in the locker room, and just where'd you learn that? Did you learn it from veterans as you were coming up? Has that always kind of been in you? Just how would you, characterize that intangible that you have?
Well, I think it's a mix. Of course, you gotta be born with it, but at the same time, you gotta learn from it. I like to lead by example. Always go out there, compete, do my best, and play hard. But at the same time, knowing your teammates, knowing them as a players, but as a person too. At the end of the day, we're not only players; we're more than that. So knowing your teammates, getting to know them off the court, helps you lead them on the court too. I was talking to James, and I was trying to learn from a guy who's been in the finals, how many years in a row, who knows, but we're talking about how a team has to do everything perfect to get to the finals, but to repeat, it has to do the perfect 3 or 4 times more or better. So for me, it's like learning every day, and being here with an organization where they're building something new, something really good, and being a big part of it, I'm really excited. And like I said, I'm not just going to go out there and tell them, look, I've been 9 years or 8 years in the league. This is how it's done. I will learn how it's done here too. Can't wait to share the court with them. And it's not just one guy. It's the whole team that got to be in the same way. And I think when the whole team go together, you go farther. So.
Ricky, Richard Sines, Fox 10 Phoenix. A lot has been said about your leadership role here and your ability to make the players around you better with your passing. But another important part of your game, I've noticed, is defense. Can you just tell us how you plan to kind of lead by example in that sense, and kind of setting the tone in regards to playing defense and stopping the other team?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys in this league that offense are like really, really good. But what separates the best from them is their defense. They're willing to really sacrifice some things to play defense, and that's one of my mindset, I will say. Like, everything starts with defense, and with that being said, it starts with the pointer, because it set the tone from the beginning. So it's something that I learned from like a lot of guys that I play with, and now I think I can like bring that example to the table. Like I said, offense can win you games, but defense tells you more how you are as a player, and then as a team too. Be willing to really sacrifice some things to play defense, because sometimes in offense you score 20 points and you go home and people say, oh, you did a good job. But people who really understands basketball knows that defense is a key to success. So with that being said, set the tone from the beginning, but being on the same page with everybody on the team.
Ricky, Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports. the last 2 years you spent time playing with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Now you come to Phoenix, you've got DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker. What can you take from your past 2 years playing with Rudy and Donovan that's going to help you play with those guys and be that coach on the floor that you were talking about?
Oh, back to the defense. I think I'm going to talk to them, and like I said, I'm going to lead by example, picking up full court or whatever the team needs, but at the same time, knowing that their offense is good, it's really good. But what's going to separate us to other teams is the defense. I can bring a lot of experience from, like you say, Rudy and Donovan. Then I had Wiggins and Cat, Anthony Towns in Minnesota. All young guys that really are talented, but to play or to be that a difference from the other teams are going to be all details. And start from defense, start to being a good teammate, start to be sharing with your team and willing to sacrifice a lot of things.
Monty, when you look at just now the overall roster construction, just all the moves that you guys have made throughout free agency and the draft, just where do you think this team is most improved, and maybe what are you most looking forward to as far as, you know, working with this group now that so many, you know, moves have been made to kind of have a better idea of where you're at?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, the point guard position, because we didn't have this level of point guard in Ricky. And not only that, like, think about Ty's opportunity to grow because he has Ricky and Javon. James and I have an understanding of your trajectory can be dictated based on the vets that you are around. And so from that standpoint, that position has been paramount for us to improve. The style of play, now we can start to look at our roster, and you can see it on the floor, the style of play that we want to implement, moving the ball, playing out of .5, which is something Ricky's heard the past few days in our workouts. But it starts with our defensive mindset, like he said. Our world will start in transition. In this league, if you can't get back in transition and take away easy baskets and open threes, you're just going to have a tough time. And so it's going to start with defense. His ability, Devin's ability, DeAndre's ability will help us score, along with Dario and Frank and all of the other guys that fill out our roster. But it's going to start with defense, and we have to improve. When you're that low in offensive and defensive efficiency, you know, you have a lot of room to improve. And so our style of play will be dictated by the way we defend.
Really, it's the same question for James. I'm curious about what you think the roster still needs moving forward. You've had time. You've made some moves. You can look at it, and now you're going to take the next steps. What can you tell me about the next steps?
I mean, the next steps will be determined by the rest of the summer, training camp, and the preseason. I think we've had tremendous roster turnover. We've had a lot of guys who've just been newly thrown into the mix, and so we have to let it settle and see how it plays out. But we have a competitive group and we have a competitive environment, and I think when you put the type of guys that we have in that environment, I think a lot of those holes will become filled from within.
Monty, I'm curious, going through the workout process heading into Summer League and then after this first game, just I'm sure you've been heavily involved as well, but just your impressions of how your staff has handled this group and kind of getting some eyes on the players and just what this Summer League experience has been like from your perspective.
I mean, the guys have been great. You know, they've had to deal with handle a number of scenarios. We've had a bit of a training camp. We had almost a mini camp before the training camp, and then getting here and having to have your game canceled first night because of the earthquake. I was actually right here when it happened. Thank God it hasn't happened again. But Willie's been stellar, implementing the things that we've talked about as a staff, and he got here later. At first it was just Ricardo and myself, and then Mark came and everybody else came along. And I'm pleased at our practices. They've been high level and competitive. We're not giving anything away as we go forward. Our team is set up to compete, and I'm so looking forward to that in training camp, watching guys compete. You know, we know that Ricky's going to start, Devin's going to start, DeAndre will start. But after that, it's going to be competitive, and I look forward to that. And so our staff has set the tone as far as having competitive practices organized, but also allowing me to learn. I've talked to Willie about doing some things that I didn't talk about so I can learn. And so I've been really listening and watching to see how I can grow as a coach.